Chapter 1. The hallway outside my dad's home office felt colder than usual, like the hush before a winter storm. I stood there, green eyes locked on the closed, wood-paneled door, my hand already slick where it gripped the doorknob. Inside, I could hear the murmur of voices, a low, steady rumble from my dad, a softer, anxious hush from my mom. The grandfather clock chimed 3 times, and I twisted the knob. Dad was at his desk, suit jacket pressed so sharp it hurt to look at, hair combed to hide the gray, eyes intense as a hawk's. Mom sat on the window seat, hands buried between her knees, blonde hair pulled back, mouth set in an almost smile that didn't make it to her eyes. "Sit down, Anna," Dad said, gesturing to the leather chair across from him. His voice was the way it always was when he talked to his clients, measured, firm, almost impatient. I perched on the edge of the chair and wrapped my arms across my chest to keep from fidgeting. Mom offered a small smile, but she looked like she might cry. Dad cleared his throat and nudged a stack of papers towards me, their edges perfectly aligned. "Anna, your mother and I need to talk to you about something important. It's about our family's future." I stole a glance at Mom, whose eyes darted down at her clasped hands. "Okay," I managed, feeling the room tighten around me. Dad pressed his lips together. "Some legal papers need your signature. It's just a formality, really. About protecting the family assets and, making things secure for all of us." He used the word protection with the carefulness of someone who loved it more than what it was protecting. I blinked at the legal forms. "What do you mean exactly? Shouldn't a lawyer do this stuff?" His jaw flexed. "Anna, this is just a family matter. There are certain things that need to be in your name for tax reasons, but it's for our benefit, yours included. That's all you need to know. It's technical, sweetheart. Just sign where I've marked." Mom reached over, placing a cool hand on my knee. She squeezed, and I could feel a tremor in her touch. "It's just some paperwork, Anna. Nothing to worry about." But her eyes said something else. They flitted to Dad, then to the floor. Dad pushed a blue ballpoint pen into my hand. The tip already clicked. A tangle of words blurred together on the document. Thompson Family Trust, irrevocable transfer, custodianship. I didn't understand any of it, and the legal language made my head swarm. My chest constricted with a sick, certain confusion, but it was hard to say no to my father's expectation. His eyes bore into mine, gray and impatient. "I need you to sign, Anna. It can't wait." "Why the rush? Why now?" My throat burned. I scrawled my name where the sticky tab said sign here. The pen wobbled in my hand. Mom's breath hitched almost every time I set pen to paper. I caught the worry in her eyes as my signature looped under the glaring fluorescent lamp. When I finished, Dad snapped the folder shut so fast I flinched. "Thank you, Anna. You did the right thing," he said, voice clipped. He slid the folder into a messenger bag under the desk. My mother looked at me with an apology dancing behind damp lashes. Why did you need me to sign?" I whispered. Dad's response was instant. "It's just paperwork, Anna. You're the smartest girl I know. You can trust me." I nodded, although I didn't feel reassured at all. "Go on, honey. I'll come up and check on your homework soon," Mom said gently. I slid out of the chair, feeling the hollow weight of the pen still in my hand. I stepped into the hallway, but instead of heading to my room, I paused near the kitchen, out of sight. I heard Dad's phone buzzing, and he picked up without lowering his voice. "She signed it. The inheritance issue is resolved." My breath stilled. "Don't worry, the papers are all in order now. We can proceed as planned," he continued. My stomach twisted, tight and cold. Mom's voice came in, anxious and muffled. "Did we do the right thing, Tom?" There was a pause, then my father. "We didn't have a choice." I his everything footsteps coming, Mom, moving toward the staircase, so I fled up to my room and locked the door behind me. The silence echoed with the sharp click, the sound of secrets slipping into shadows. I dropped onto my bed, the quilt bunched beneath my knees, and stared at the ceiling. Something in me had shifted, a gnawing certainty that whatever I'd signed mattered in a way no one thought I could understand. My mind spun with Dad's words, inheritance, resolved as planned. Resolved for who? And what did as planned mean for me? I pressed my knuckles to my lips, hard, as if to keep any questions from escaping and floating out under my door. The afternoon sunlight edged along my desk and glinted off my science trophy. Back when things felt certain, parents clapping in the crowd, Mom hugging me so tight I thought I'd split in two. Now, all I felt was lost. Outside, twilight curled over the neighborhood, dogs barking, a distant lawn mower. Life for everyone else felt unchanged, but my world was suddenly set adrift. Somewhere in the house, my dad's deep voice rumbled, and my mom's softer one tried to answer, but all I could do was listen to the two heartbeats, one bold, one breaking, echoing down the halls. And I, Anna Thompson, sitting alone in my room, wondered if I'd just signed away something I'd never get back. I stood outside my dad's office door, my hands shaking a little. I heard my parents talking inside. Their voices sounded serious and low. I took a deep breath and knocked. "Come in, Anna," my dad said. I opened the door. Dad looked at me with his stern face. He wore his dark suit, even though he was home. Mom sat on a small chair by the window. She tried to smile at me, but her eyes looked worried. "Sit down, Anna," Dad said. I sat in the big leather chair in front of his desk. My feet didn't reach the ground. Dad sighed and pushed a stack of papers toward me. "Anna, we need you to help us with something. You have to sign these papers." I stared at them. "What are they?" I asked. "Just some legal stuff," Dad said. "It's about protecting our family, nothing you need to worry about." Mom looked at me, her lips pressed tight together. "Just listen to your dad, sweetheart," she said. "But I don't understand," I said. "Why do you need me to sign?" Dad frowned. "Anna, it's just a form. We need your signature so we can protect the family assets. It's only for safety. You trust us, right?" I looked at Mom. She seemed nervous. "It's okay, honey," she said, but her voice shook. Dad held out a pen. "Sign here, Anna. It's marked with yellow sticky notes." I felt a lump in my throat. I wanted to ask more questions, but Dad's eyes were cold and hard. I was scared he would get angry if I refused. "Why do I have to sign? Can't you sign?" I asked again, my voice tiny. Dad shook his head. "No, Anna, it has to be you. It's just how the law works." My fingers trembled. I picked up the pen. The words on the papers made no sense. They were long and twisted. My name was typed out a lot, Anna Thompson. There was something about a trust and inheritance. I glanced at Mom as I pressed the pen to the paper. She looked away. I quickly wrote my name on the first line. Then I signed 2 more times, just like the sticky notes showed me. Dad grabbed the papers right after I finished. He shoved them into a folder and shut it with a snap. "Good job," Dad said. "That's all we needed. You can go now." Mom got up, her face pale. She opened her mouth like she might say something, but then closed it and just waved her hand. I stood and left the office, feeling strange. I stopped at the hallway, hiding behind the wall. My heart beat too fast. I heard Dad's cell phone ring. He answered quickly. "She signed it," Dad said. "Yeah, the inheritance issue is resolved." I pressed my ear closer to the wall. "No, she didn't ask too many questions. It's done. We can move forward," he said. Then his voice went lower, so I could barely hear. Mom said, "Are you sure we did the right thing?" "I didn't have a choice," Dad said, sounding mad. "We need this, Linda, you know that." Mom sounded like she was crying. "She's just a kid, Tom." Dad snapped, "Don't start, I'll handle it." I backed away from the door, heart pounding. Did they just trick me? Why did Dad need me to sign those papers if it was just for protection? What was wrong with my inheritance? I ran up to my room and shut my door. I sat on my bed, hugging my knees to my chest. I thought about my dad's face, so cold and serious. My mom's scared eyes. I wondered if they were keeping secrets from me. A million questions raced in my mind. What did I really sign? Is my inheritance gone? Are my mom and dad in trouble? I wiped my eyes. I felt scared and small. I didn't know who to trust. Why did it all have to happen so fast? Why wouldn't they tell me the truth? Maybe Mom would tell me later, I thought. Or maybe I'd find out by myself. The sun was going down outside my window. The room was dark and quiet. I felt alone in the whole world. I decided I would find out what those papers really meant. I had to know the truth, even if it hurt. Downstairs, I heard Dad talking on the phone again. His voice was sharp and angry. I pressed my pillow over my ears, but the words wouldn't leave my head. She signed it. The inheritance issue is resolved. I stared at the ceiling in the dark, making a promise to myself. Tomorrow, I would start looking for answers. I couldn't just let this go. But what if I found out something I didn't want to know? What if my parents had lied to me all along? My heart beat fast and hard as I drifted to sleep, still wondering just what I had signed away. Dinner that night was strange. I sat down at the table and stared at my food. My fork felt heavy in my hand. No one spoke. Dad's lips were tight. Mom looked tired. I felt like something was crawling under my skin. I poked my mashed potatoes. "Did something happen today?" I asked. Dad looked up fast, like he was surprised I spoke. "Nothing for you to worry about," he said. Mom gave him a quick look. It was almost like she was warning him. Dad leaned in closer to Mom and whispered, "We have to talk about the trust." I heard every word. My chest hurt. Mom whispered back, "Not now, Anna here." "We have to handle everything before she finds out," Dad said. I gripped my fork tighter. "Finds out what?" I asked. Mom looked over at me, her eyes wide for a second. Then she forced a smile and said, "Eat your dinner, Anna. Everything's fine." "But you're both acting weird," I said. "No, we aren't," Dad said. "Please just eat." I couldn't eat anymore, so I just sat there. The room felt heavy. Everyone was pretending. After dinner, I went into Dad's office. The door was open just a little. I saw some papers on his desk. My name was on top of one of them. I picked it up. It was a bank statement. It said, "Thompson Family Trust." My name was underlined. My heart beat fast. I stared at the paper, but I didn't understand what any of it meant. There were big numbers, too. Suddenly, Dad walked in. He saw me holding the paper. "What are you doing?" he said. I felt caught. "Why is my name on this?" I asked. He pulled the paper out of my hands. "These are adult matters," he said. "You don't need to worry about family money." "But you made me sign those papers," I said. "Now my name is everywhere. Why?" Mom hurried in. She looked upset. "Anna, sweetie, you know your father just wants to protect you." I looked at her. "Are you sure? It feels like you're hiding something from me," I said. She looked at the ground. "We just want you to have a good future." Dad cleared his throat. "That's enough questions for tonight," he said. "Go to your room." I marched upstairs. I felt hot and angry, like a kettle about to scream. In my room, I kicked off my shoes. I didn't even want to look at my homework. None of it seemed important now. I sat on the floor and hugged my knees. My brain was buzzing with questions. What was this trust? Why was I signing things I didn't understand? I looked around my room for something to make me feel better. I went to my dresser and opened the top drawer. There was an envelope stuck underneath some socks. It was a birthday card. I pulled it out. It was from Grandma. It said, "Happy birthday, Anna. I hope you know how proud I am of you. You will get your special inheritance when you turn 18. Love, Grandma." My hands quivered. Special inheritance? Was that what Dad and Mom were fighting about? Why was this card hidden deep in my drawer? I ran back downstairs. Dad was in his office again on the phone. His voice was low, but I could hear just enough. "Before she finds out," he said. Mom saw me listening and quickly moved to block the door. "Anna, it's late. You should be in bed," she said. I held up the birthday card. "Why didn't you give this to me before?" I asked. She stared at the card like it might explode. I meant to," she said. "It got lost in the mess, that's all." I could hear Dad in the office, his voice angry, but I couldn't make out his words. My legs felt wobbly, but I didn't want to leave. Mom tried to hug me, but I pulled away. "You're both keeping secrets," I said. My voice cracked like glass. She looked like she might cry. "Anna, please just trust us." I shook my head. I want to know the truth. Right then, Dad's voice came from the office, even angrier than before. We have to do this now, before Anna learns anything. I stared at Mom. My whole body was shaking with fear and anger. I'm not stupid, I said. I'm going to find out. Mom tried to say something, but I didn't want to hear it. I ran to my room and slammed the door. My heart thumped so loud, I thought everyone in the house could hear. As I crawled into bed, I asked myself, what secret are they hiding from me? And what if the truth is worse than I can imagine? I didn't sleep much that night, because I had to figure out what was really going on. I sat alone at lunch again. The way the other kids laughed and joked made me feel even more alone. I poked my food. My mind kept going back to those papers, the bank statement, the card from Grandma. I felt like I was holding a box full of secrets, and I didn't know what to do with it. Suddenly, Jackson sat down across from me. I stared at him. He usually sits with his loud friends, the ones who laugh at his dumb jokes about my hair. What do you want? I said. My voice sounded sharp, but I didn't care. Jackson shrugged. Just felt like sitting here. He opened his lunch and started eating. Why are you so quiet today? He asked. I looked away. I don't feel like talking. Jackson watched me. He was quiet for a moment, then said, You looked upset in math class. Are you okay? I didn't want to answer, but something in his voice sounded real. Not like his jokes or his loud talking, more honest. No, I'm not okay, I said. He took a bite of his sandwich. Wanna talk about it? I bit my lip and looked at his face. I sighed. My parents made me sign these grown-up papers. They said it was to protect our family stuff, but I heard them talking about secrets and some inheritance. I think something isn't right. I found a bank thing with my name and something called a family trust. Jackson's eyes grew wide. Wait, your parents made you sign trust papers? Yeah, I said. Why, do you know what that means? He pushed his hair out of his eyes. My parents did something like that last year. My dad's uncle died, and there was a fight about land and money. My parents made me sign stuff too, and I didn't get it. I just know there were a lot of secrets. My parents wouldn't tell me anything, just said it was for the family. He said the words in a mocking voice, but his face was serious. Wow, I said. I felt my heart beating faster. Why didn't you tell me before? He gave a weak laugh. Honestly, our dads hate each other. You know that, right? My dad says your dad cheated him out of business deals years ago. I didn't know that, I said. I thought you just didn't like me. He blushed. I was kind of mean, I guess. My family was so mad at yours, and it was easier to be mad, too. He shrugged again. But you look really upset, so I thought maybe I should tell you. I stared at him. Did you ever find out what you signed, or what your parents did with your stuff? Jackson picked at his chips. Sort of. We had to talk to this lawyer lady, Miss Harper. She helped my cousin, too, when his parents tried to change his trust. She's really smart. I felt scared, but also kind of relieved. Do you think she would help me? He nodded. Yeah, she helped me ask the right questions. If your parents are hiding something, you need someone on your side. Sometimes grown-ups don't tell the truth, even if they say they love you. That last part hurt, but I knew he was right. Will you come with me? I asked. I hated the way my voice shook. Yeah, he said. After school, if you want. I said, okay, after school. We sat quiet for a minute. I almost felt like I could breathe again. It helped, telling someone. Jackson looked at me. I'm sorry for giving you a hard time. I said, thanks. I'm sorry I yelled at you before, too. Don't worry about it, he said. Do you have all the papers? I saved a picture of the ones I could, I said. I found a birthday card from Grandma, too. She said there's a special inheritance for me when I'm 18. That sounds important, he said. Yeah, but my parents hid it. I found it by accident. Why would they do that? My eyes burned, and I tried not to cry. Jackson didn't say anything for a second. Then he said, maybe because they need the money, or maybe there's more to it. With my family, it was all about who got to control stuff. Control. That word made my skin prickle. He looked at me serious. Do you trust your parents? I thought about Dad's hard voice, Mom's sad eyes, the things they said when they thought I wasn't listening. I shook my head slowly. I don't know anymore, I said. The bell rang for the next class. Everyone else got up and pushed their chairs in. Jackson and I just sat there for a second longer. He said, "Meet me by the front steps after school. I'll go with you to Miss Harper's office." "Okay," I said. As I walked to my next class, my stomach twisted. I was scared about what we might find, but I knew I couldn't stop looking for answers. There was one more thing that scared me most of all. What if the truth was even worse than I imagined? After school, I stood by the front steps like Jackson told me to. My heart pounded so loud, I thought people could hear it. Jackson ran up, a little out of breath. "Ready," he said. I nodded, though it felt more like a lie than the truth. We walked together. He kept glancing at me like he expected me to say something. My mouth was dry. When we got to the office building, I stopped and stared at the shiny glass doors. Jackson saw me pause. "It's okay," he said. "Miss Harper is nice. She helped my cousin. She really listens." I whispered, "What if I get in trouble?" He shook his head. "You just want answers. It's your right." We went inside. The office smelled like lemon cleaner and fancy flowers. We sat in big soft chairs. Jackson kept shifting his feet. I was afraid to look at anyone. A tall woman with dark skin came into the room. She wore a blue suit and had her hair pulled back tight. She smiled at us. "I'm Miss Harper," she said. "You must be Anna, and I remember you, Jackson." "Hi," I said. My voice sounded very small. She held out her hand. I shook it, my palms sweating. "Let's talk in my office," she said. The room was big. Books lined one whole wall. There was a desk with neat piles. I sat on the edge of a chair and squeezed my phone until my knuckles hurt. Miss Harper said, "Tell me what's going on, Anna. From the very beginning, I'm here to help you." I looked at Jackson. He nodded. I took a deep breath. "My parents made me sign papers," I said. "They said it was to protect the family, but I don't get it. They acted weird. I heard them say something about my inheritance. I found a card from my grandma. She wrote about a special inheritance for when I turn 18. I also saw a bank paper with my name and family trust on it. My parents don't want to explain anything. I think they're hiding something." Miss Harper listened carefully. She didn't interrupt. "Can I see any documents?" she asked. I pulled out my phone and found the pictures I took. My hands shook. I slid the phone across the desk. Miss Harper clicked through the photos, frowning a little. She said softly, "How did your parents act when you asked about these papers?" I remembered Dad's sharp voice. "They told me it was adult stuff. Dad got mad. Mom looked scared." Miss Harper looked at me with kind eyes. "It's okay to feel confused or scared. You did the right thing coming here." "Are they allowed to do this?" I asked. My voice almost broke. "Can my parents just take my inheritance?" She took a deep breath. "Anna, sometimes parents can manage trusts if children are too young, but they can't just do anything they want, especially if you didn't know what you signed. A child's signature on legal documents is not always binding, especially if there's pressure or you didn't understand." Jackson nodded. "She helped my cousin. The court said the paper he signed didn't count because he was a kid." My heart jumped. So maybe what I signed doesn't count. Miss Harper smiled a little. "It might not. Sometimes adults try to use kids' signatures anyway, but the law says kids need someone to look out for their best interests. That's what I do." I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. I felt like I could cry with relief. Jackson smiled at me too, like he was proud. "We will look into the trust documents and your signature," Miss Harper said. "I can talk to your parents. For now, keep any notes or letters you find. Don't worry, there's hope." I said, "Thank you, Miss Harper." My voice shook. "It's just I still love my parents, but I feel so betrayed. I'm scared they only care about the money." Miss Harper nodded. "That's a hard feeling, Anna. Money makes families do things they shouldn't. It's not your fault." Jackson said, "See, told you she could help." I felt a tiny bit better. A new feeling started to grow in my chest. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was just the idea that I wasn't as powerless as I thought. Miss Harper stood and shook our hands. Don't keep this secret alone. If you find anything else, letters, more documents, call me. I promise I'll make sure someone listens to you, Anna. I will, I said. We left the office together. The air outside seemed cooler, lighter. I looked at Jackson. Thanks for helping me, I said. He grinned. That's what friends do. As we walked home, my heart still hurt, but now I wanted to find out the whole truth. I wondered what other secrets my parents were hiding, and if they were the only ones. Miss Harper's words followed me everywhere for the next few days. Sometimes, adults try to use kids' signatures anyway. It made me feel scared, but also angry. Every time Dad walked into a room, I wondered if he could read my mind. I tried to act normal, but inside I was on fire. Jackson texted me. Did you talk to your mom about more papers? He said. I wrote back, not yet. She seems nervous all the time. I think there's something else going on. That night I waited until everyone was asleep. My parents' door was shut, and I could hear Dad's heavy snoring. I tiptoed down the hall toward the guest room. It used to be Grandma's when she visited us. Now it was filled with old boxes and blankets, but her things were still there. I whispered to myself, come on, Anna, be brave. I flicked on my phone flashlight. The shadows jumped all over the room. I sat at Grandma's old desk and pulled at the drawers. They were stuffed with papers, bills, and old pens. My hands shook, but I kept digging. I said quietly, there has to be something. The last drawer got stuck. I pulled hard and it popped out. A small envelope slid down behind the drawer. My heart beat faster. I reached in and grabbed it. Inside was a piece of thick paper. It was a legal document with a gold seal at the top. There was also a letter written in Grandma's neat handwriting. I sat cross-legged on the floor and read the letter. It said, Dearest Anna, I wanted you to have this for your own future. I trust you. I took steps to protect what is yours because sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. My hands trembled as I read the next part. No one, not even your father, can use these assets without your knowledge. The trust is now only for you. My breath caught in my throat. The legal paper said words like irrevocable trust and sole beneficiary, Anna Thompson. It was signed 3 years ago. I felt shocked. I snapped pictures with my phone, just like Miss Harper told me to do. Suddenly, I heard someone coming down the stairs. I shoved everything back and hurried to my room. I crawled under my covers, my heart pounding. I sent the pictures to Miss Harper right away. Jackson texted me again. Everything okay? I wrote, I found something, I'll explain tomorrow. The next morning, my eyes burned from lack of sleep. At breakfast, Mom barely spoke. Dad shuffled papers at the table and didn't look at me. Mom said, Did you sleep well, Anna? I shook my head. Bad dreams, I said. Dad pushed his chair back. Linda, we need to talk, he said. I watched him walk into his office. Mom looked sad as she followed. I waited until they closed the door. I crept close and put my ear by the wall. Dad sounded angry. She moved the money, he said. The transfer papers aren't working. Why isn't anything happening? Mom whispered, I told you your mother didn't trust us. She protected Anna first. Dad snapped, I can't believe this, after all I've done. We needed that money, now what? I clutched the phone tight in my pocket. My chest felt too small for all the feelings inside it. I felt sorry for Mom, but Dad's words stung. Did he care about me or just the money? Mom tried to calm him. We still have Anna. We can talk to her, Tom. Maybe she'll help if we're honest. Honest, Dad said, his voice cold. It's too late for that. I should have checked the papers myself. I backed away from the door. My hands shook. I wanted to cry and scream at the same time. Why did Dad think he could just take what wasn't his? Why did Mom let it happen? I went to school with my head spinning. I didn't talk to anyone, not even Jackson. I just kept wondering if anything would ever feel normal again. Miss Harper wrote me a message before lunch. You did great, Anna. I'll use your photos. I think you're safer than you know. Be strong. Those words made me feel a little better. But as I watched my parents at dinner, Dad not looking at me, Mom sighing, one thought filled my mind. If my parents found out I knew everything now, what would they do next? I sat in the waiting room at Miss Harper's office with my hands twisting in my lap. Mom and Dad sat close to me, but no one was talking. Dad kept looking at his phone. Mom kept sighing. My stomach twisted like a wet towel. Jackson, who had come to wait with me, gave me a quick smile. "You okay?" he whispered. I tried to smile back, but just nodded. "I think so," I said, but my voice sounded thin. Miss Harper opened the big glass door. She smiled at me first, then turned her serious eyes to my parents. "Thank you for coming," she said. "Let's talk about Anna's trust." Dad sat up straight. He said, "There's no real reason for concern. Anna already agreed to the changes." Miss Harper gave him a look. "Did Anna understand what she signed? Did you explain what those documents meant to her?" Dad's lips went tight. "Of course, it's just legal paperwork." Mom looked at me, her eyes sad. I saw her bite her lip. Miss Harper turned to me. "Anna, do you know why you were asked to sign those papers?" I shook my head. "No," I said. "Dad said it was to protect our family stuff, but I didn't really understand." Dad cut in, his voice sharp. "There's no problem here, we're her parents." Miss Harper nodded slowly. "Mr. Thompson, Anna found the original trust documents her grandmother left. She showed me the proof. Your mother, Anna's grandmother, made the trust only for Anna. It's legally protected for her, without your control." I peeked at Dad. His face turned pale. He looked at Mom, then down at his hands. Miss Harper kept going. "And Anna's signature, given as a minor without full understanding, may not count. You tried to transfer something you could not access." The room got quiet. My chest hurt just waiting for Dad to say something. Dad swallowed. For the first time, he looked scared. I only did it because my business is failing," he said. His voice shook. "I owed people money. I thought I could fix things and put it all back before Anna was old enough to know." I felt tears in my eyes. "Why didn't you just tell me the truth?" I said. Dad dropped his head. I was ashamed. Mom reached for my hand. Her grip was cold. "Anna, I tried to stop it. I wanted to tell you. But your dad was so worried all the time. We made a mistake. I'm so sorry." I pulled my hand away. "You lied. You both lied to me. You even hid Grandma's card." Dad sounded tired and old. "I just didn't want to fail you, Anna. I know I let you down." Miss Harper looked at my parents firmly. "You both crossed the line. This isn't just about money. It's about trust. Anna deserves better. If this doesn't get fixed, there could be big consequences. Legal ones. You must make it right, starting now." Mom started to cry. She said, "We'll do anything. We just want our family to heal." Jackson sat beside me, quiet, but I could tell he was angry on my behalf. He said softly, "You didn't deserve this, Anna." Miss Harper nodded. "Anna, would you like to say anything else?" I wiped my cheeks. "I want my parents to be honest with me. I want them to stop hiding things. I want us to talk, all of us. No more secrets." Dad nodded. "You have my word, Anna. No more secrets." Mom whispered, "We love you, Anna." I wanted to believe her, but I was still so hurt inside. Something in me still felt broken. Could we really fix any of this? Miss Harper stood up. "We'll make a plan together to fix your family and your future, starting now. But you have to remember, Anna is not just a piece in a game. She is your daughter." Dad nodded again, but then he looked at me, his eyes shiny with tears. I wondered, deep down, if things would ever be the same, or if I could ever trust them again. Miss Harper gave me a kind smile. "It's going to be a process, Anna, one step at a time. This isn't the end." I nodded, but my heart still felt half frozen. As we left the office, Dad turned to Mom and whispered, "Now we have to tell her everything." My head spun. What else were they hiding? Everything felt different at home now. Some nights, I heard Mom and Dad trying to talk quietly in the living room, but I could still hear the sadness in their voices. Since that meeting at Miss Harper's office, nothing was easy. It was like every word in our house had sharp corners. One night, Dad knocked on my door. "Can I come in?" he asked. I hugged my knees on my bed and nodded. "Okay," I said. He sat down on the edge. Anna, I want to say I'm sorry, he said. I should have trusted you. I should have never put you in the middle of our problems. His words felt heavy. Why didn't you just tell me everything, Dad? I said. He rubbed his face. I was embarrassed. I made some bad choices at work. I thought if I could fix them without anyone knowing, everything would be all right. But that was wrong. I said, you hurt me. You and Mom both did. I don't know if I can trust you again. He looked away. That's fair. There was a knock at the door and Mom peeked in. Can we talk as a family? She said. We all sat together on my bed. For a second, nobody spoke. Then Mom said, it's okay to feel sad, Anna. We're hurting too. We made mistakes, but we want to make it better. I felt my lips tremble. I just want to feel safe again, I said. I want to know you'll never lie to me. Dad put his hand over his heart. I promise, Anna. We're working with Miss Harper to fix the legal mess. We're even starting counseling. Mom nodded. All of us. I said, are you both really going to tell me the truth from now on? She nodded. Yes, we will tell you everything. I wiped my eyes. Okay, I want to try. The next day after school, Jackson found me by the swings. How are you? He said. I shrugged. Everything feels weird at home. My parents are trying, but it's hard. He nodded. Mine were like that for a while too. I got so mad at them. But once everyone started talking, it got easier, sort of. I asked, do you trust your parents now? Jackson thought for a minute. Mostly. But I told them I'd only trust them if they stayed honest and didn't treat me like a little kid. And if they mess up again, I'll say something. I smiled a tiny bit. That's good advice. He looked at me. Want to come to my house after school? My mom is making cookies. I laughed for the first time in days. Sure. Later that week, we all went to family counseling with a new lady. She listened to everyone. Sometimes Dad got mad and sometimes Mom cried. I said things I never said before. One day I shouted, you both broke my heart. I don't care about money. I just want my family back. And Mom cried harder and hugged me tight. Dad did too. After the session, he said, you're right, Anna. We'll earn your trust back. At dinner, we started talking about money in a real way. Dad said, I'm not touching your trust. I'm asking for help with my business the honest way. No more secrets. It still hurt, but I felt hope too. It was small, but it was there. Jackson texted, proud of you. You're brave. Want to start a club for kids like us? Kids who need help with all this money stuff. I texted, that sounds awesome. But even as I smiled, I kept thinking, what if they lie again? What if another secret is hiding? My heart pounded in my chest. One night before bed, Mom came in and kissed my forehead. We love you, Anna, she said. I made myself believe her, at least for tonight. Still, as I turned off my lamp, I couldn't help but ask, what if there's something else I still don't know? My house feels different these days. It's almost quiet, but not the heavy, scary kind. It's the kind of quiet where we're all trying to listen instead of hide. 3 months have passed since the big meeting with Miss Harper. I stand in the kitchen, pouring a glass of orange juice. Dad sits at the table, reading the newspaper. He looks up and gives me a small smile. He says, Morning, Anna. Did you sleep well? I pour my juice and sit down. Yeah, I say. I had a dream we all went camping at the lake. Dad nods. We should do that this summer. For a moment, I almost believe we're a normal family. Mom comes in, humming a song. She puts her hand on my shoulder and says, I got your favorite cereal, Anna, and your appointment with Miss Harper is today after school. I nod. I don't mind appointments now. Miss Harper isn't just a lawyer anymore. She's more like family. She teaches me things no one else ever cared to teach me, like what a trust really is and how to read bank papers. At school, I find Jackson by the lockers. He says, Hey, Anna, ready for the meeting? I nod. I say, Are your parents still being open with you? He shrugs. More than before. My dad even let me sit in when he talked with the bank. He explained every word. I smile. That's good. Have things gotten easier for you? Jackson sighs. It's not perfect, but now if I get scared, I just tell them. My dad actually listens. We start walking to class. Jackson leans closer. Did you get the flyers printed for our group? I grin. Yeah, they're in my backpack. At lunch, we sit together and hand out flyers to a few kids we trust. It's for our new club, Kids with Secrets. We're starting small, just 5 kids for now. Each one knows what it feels like to have adults keeping things from them. Lizzie, a girl from my science class, reads the flyer and says, "Wait, we can actually talk about family money here." Jackson nods. He says, "That's why Anna and I started it, so we're not alone." After school, Mom picks me up. She says, "Jackson can come too if you want." I say, "Thanks, Mom." She smiles. Dad waves from the porch as we drive away. Miss Harper welcomes us into her office with hot chocolate and cookies. I sit across from her and say, "What lesson today?" She laughs. "Today you learn about how to check a statement. Most adults don't know what you're about to learn." I feel proud. I pore over the numbers. Jackson jokes he's not as smart, but Miss Harper assures him, "You're both smarter than most adults." After the lesson, Miss Harper pulls out a folder. "Anna, I want to give you something," she says. I lean forward. "What is it?" She slides a thin envelope across the desk. "When you turn 13 next week, your trust allows you to control a small account yourself. Your parents can't touch this. Neither can I." My eyes go wide. "Really? I can decide what to do." Miss Harper nods. "Your grandmother wanted you to have your own choice." Mom squeezes my shoulder. She says, "We trust you, Anna." Dad says, "We're ready if you want help, but it's your call." I think for a long time. Finally, I say, "I want to save most of it for college, but I also want to give some to Miss Harper's children's legal group. You helped me. Maybe I can help other kids." Miss Harper smiles, her eyes shiny. "That's a wonderful choice, Anna." Jackson claps me on the back. "You're awesome." I blush, but I feel strong. Not just a kid anymore. On the way home, Jackson says, "You're different, like, braver." I laugh. "So are you." He grins. "Things are better at home, no more secrets, at least none I don't know about." At bedtime, Mom hands me a new envelope. "This came for you from Grandma's lawyer," she says. My heart skips. What does it say? Mom shakes her head. "I didn't open it. It says to be opened only by Anna on her 13th birthday." I turn the envelope over in my hands and feel a shiver of curiosity. There are still secrets in my family, new clues to things I don't know. I slip the letter under my pillow, feeling both nervous and excited. Because soon, I'll find out what Grandma wanted me to learn next. My 13th birthday felt different from any birthday before. When I woke up, the mysterious letter from Grandma's lawyer was still under my pillow. It felt heavy, even though it was just paper. I stared at it, tracing my finger over my name on the front. I kept wondering what secrets were waiting inside. Downstairs, Mom and Dad had made pancakes. They sang happy birthday, and Mom gave me the first real hug I'd had from her in months. Dad said, "We're so proud of you, Anna." I smiled, but my hands shook a little. "Thanks, Dad." Jackson texted me at breakfast. "Ready for your big day," he said. I wrote back, "I think so, wish me luck. I have to open the envelope soon." Mom poured extra syrup on my pancakes. She said, "Remember, Anna, whatever's in that letter, we'll figure it out together." I nodded. "I want to open it by myself first, okay?" They both agreed. Dad squeezed my hand. "We trust you, Anna, you've earned it." After breakfast, I went up to my room. I closed the door and sat with the envelope on my bed. I stared at it for a long time. My heart raced. What if it was something scary? Or something good? I remembered everything that had happened with my trust and my parents. I was half afraid to know more. Finally, I ripped it open. A typed letter slid out. The paper smelled like old books. There was a note in Grandma's handwriting, too. I held my breath and read the printed part first. "Dear Anna, today you turn 13. Your grandmother wanted you to know how proud she is of the strong, smart girl you are. Along with your trust, there is another account in your name. Instructions are inside. Your parents may assist you if you wish, but the choice is yours. There are also family records I wish for you to have. Some may be hard to read, but they tell the truth about where you came from and about choices made before you were born. Please see Miss Harper for help in understanding everything. I felt the world tilt under me. Another account, records. What did Grandma mean? My stomach felt tight. I picked up the note in Grandma's soft, curly writing. Dearest Anna, if you are reading this, you are becoming a young woman. When I was your age, our family had secrets, some good, some painful. I want you to have the truth, not just money. Please remember, kindness and honesty are worth more than gold. I trust you, Anna. I believe you will make our family better. All my love. Grandma. My eyes blurred with tears. I whispered, I miss you, Grandma. I wiped my eyes and quickly texted Jackson. I think there's more. Can you come over? He texted back, on my way. Did you open it? I wrote, just did. I'm kind of scared. Jackson arrived in record time. I opened the door for him and dragged him up to my room. I gave him the letters. He read them out loud. Whoa, do you think your parents know about all this? He asked. I shook my head. I don't think so. Grandma didn't trust them with my trust before. Maybe there are things even they don't know. He handed back the letters. So, are you going to look for those records? I said, I have to, but I want to talk to Miss Harper first. I don't even know where to start. Jackson said, this is so much, Anna. Are you okay? I bit my lip. I think so. It makes me sad and kind of angry, too. Why did Grandma have to keep so many secrets? He nodded. Grown-ups are weird. At least you have help this time. And me. I smiled. Thanks, Jackson. I don't want to do this alone. We decided to go downstairs. Mom was waiting at the bottom of the stairs. She said, Anna, is everything all right? I showed her the envelope and the letters. Grandma left me more than just money. She wants me to know the truth. She wants me to see records, ones you and Dad might not even know about. Mom's eyes got wide. She reached out for the letters, but then stopped. If you want to keep some secrets for yourself, that's okay, but if you want help, we're here. Dad came in looking worried. What's wrong? I took a deep breath. Grandma left me something new. She said to talk to Miss Harper. There are family records and another account. I want to know everything. Dad sat beside Mom, rubbing her back. Anna, whatever you need, we'll figure it out with you. I almost believed them. I wanted to. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was Miss Harper. Anna, I received a message about new documents for you. Let's set up a meeting soon. There may be more secrets, but you're not alone. My heart beat faster. I said, there's more to find out. I don't know if I'm ready, but I have to try. Mom hugged me, and for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel fake. But all I could think was, what if these new secrets change everything?